In this video, we are going to create an overlay for Leetcode that is going to be powered by AI. This overlay is going to give us real-time solutions by taking screenshot of what we see on screen. To give you some context, a few weeks ago I saw this news where someone managed to create an AI overlay for Leetcode, and they managed to get lots of interviews and offers from big companies such as Microsoft, Google and Citibank, all using AI. So I thought, why not try to create something similar? So I sat down and I came up with this flow. This is how that program must have worked. So we need a way to take screenshots of our screen of what we're seeing. Then we need a way to convert that screenshot into some kind of text, or at least be able to understand what's being displayed. So we need to convert that image into text. We are going to send this text to an AI model so it can be running on the cloud. In my case, I'm going to be using DeepSeek Coder, which is going to be running on our local machine. DeepSeek Coder then will hopefully give us the correct answer, and we will have an overlay that will pop up on the screen where the user can read the answer or can even copy and paste. And then we will have a loop of this happening continuously. If you imagine in an interview, you will be asked multiple questions. So sometimes it's 2 questions or 3 questions in the span of 1 hour. So you can configure how this loop is going to be working. You can even have the first iteration of the loop take screenshot of the question, and then the second iteration of the loop is going to be looking at your answer to just make sure it's correct or give you corrections. So this is going to be personalizable. It's going to be, I think, a fun project. We're going to be using all free libraries, so you don't need to pay for anything. And we will also be running a local model, so you don't have to pay for tokens online. We will also be discussing this blue box. When taking screenshot, as you can imagine, we don't want to take the screenshot of the whole screen. We probably want to focus on the question itself. I'll show you how to do that. And up here in green, you can see some of the Python libraries we will be using to create this whole system. So stay with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it allows me to create more videos for you. So let's jump right into it. I have created an empty project using PyCharm, and we are going to be using Python 3.12. The first thing we're going to be doing is creating the requirements file. So let's create it at the top folder. And in here, we're going to be adding few dependencies. So the ones we need for now are these ones. Pillow. This is used to process images. Requests, this is going to be used to connect to our local instance of Ollama and send requests. PyAutoGUI is used to take screenshots. TK is going to be used to create overlays. And this one, PyTesseract, is going to be used to actually convert image to text. So the next thing we're going to be doing is creating a main file. So let's create one. And this is where the main logic is going to be. So let's install these requirements. In the background, Python is going to be installing the packages. So as I said, we need to take a screenshot of our screen. We're going to need a main function. So let's define this part here. So this is going to start our main function. And now let's define the actual main function here. When we start the software, maybe you are still on the screen, so you don't want to start the loop straight away. Maybe you want some interval, so I'm going to add some sleep. And I'll call it initial interval in seconds. This is going to be a global variable. Maybe let's have 5 seconds. We need import, so let's import this from time. We need to add this import. We have waited after we have launched the software. Now let's start our Leetcode solve. So I just called it leet solve. And now let's have our actual loop where we're going to be doing the actual screenshotting, taking the image, converting to text, asking Ollama to give us a solution, and then showing it on an overlay. So let's add some printing, capturing screenshot. And now we need to define the path where this is going to be saved. We're going to take a screenshot we're going to define the path, the actual name where this will be saved. So I will call it screenshot.png. As you can see, you might be wondering, oh, what is this? We need to create this. I will create a new file which is going to be containing this helper method. I'll call it screenshot. In here, we're going to be using PyAutoGUI, and now we're going to define a method to take this screenshot. So as you can see, I'm using Copilot. Let's take a screenshot. And we're going to be using PyAutoGUI.screenshot. And this is going to take the screenshot of the whole screen. Then we want to save it at the path we have defined. This is the usual one, so it will be saved at the top level. And we can simply return the path to the caller. So if we go back to our main, we can actually import this in here from screenshot. Let's import the take screenshot method. So we have our screenshot. We can actually run it to see if this works. So let's create a configuration to run our main file. Call it AI overlay. You need to define the main file. And then let's click apply and OK. By the way, you can also just run current file and make sure you are on the main file, and it's just gonna run the main file. I've just created a configuration. I think it's just easier. So let's run this. Let's see what happens. It has waited the 5 seconds and now it's constantly taking screenshots. So let's stop and hopefully, yes, as you can see, each screenshot gets overridden by the next one. It has taken a screenshot, which is what we were expecting. So this is looking good so far. The next thing we need to do is we want to extract the text out of this image. Let's have some extracting question from image. And we want to save this question in a variable. Let's create this method extract question with OCR. And let's give it the path to the image. OCR stands for optical character recognition. What we're trying to do is actually we want to convert our image into text. And because the Leetcode questions are text, we're going to be using OCR to do that. We will need to create this method somewhere. So I'm going to create a new file and I'll call it image to text. We're going to need this code over here. You will need to import PyTesseract, and then from Pillow, we are going to be using the image processing helper methods. So we'll pass the path. The path will be used to open this image, and then using PyTesseract, we're going to convert this image into string, and we'll save it to a variable called text, and we return this to the main method. One thing to notice is that you will need to install PyTesseract on your actual machine to be able to process images into text. So what you need to do is open a terminal and make sure to run this command, brew install Tesseract, as this will be needed. Otherwise, this is not going to work. So don't forget to run this brew install Tesseract. I've already done this, so I have Tesseract installed on my machine. Now let's go back to our main method, and over here let's import the method we just created in the new file over here. We are now getting back the text from our image, and let's print it. So this is going to be our question. We are here in our flow. The next step is actually asking our locally running AI model to solve the question. So we need to have Ollama running DeepSeek Coder. For those of you who don't know what Ollama is basically a container that is able to run loads of AI models, and we will be leveraging that to run an AI model locally, and then we use the endpoints to call the AI model running inside Ollama. In this case, this is going to be DeepSeek Coder. The first thing we need to do now is actually install Ollama. So if you open a new terminal, you can run brew install Ollama, and this will install Ollama for you. I already have it, so I'm not gonna run this. Once Ollama is installed, The next thing is actually running Ollama in the background. We are going to be using this command. As you can see, Ollama is now running in the background on port 11434. So leave this one open and let's create a new terminal. And now we can list the AI models that you already have. If this is the first time, this list will be empty. Otherwise, what you need to do is actually download and run DeepSeek Coder. The instruction is quite simple. You just need to do Ollama run and then give the name of the AI model you want to run. Ollama's website has all the AI models available. I'm gonna be using DeepSeek Coder because it's specialized in solving questions. And if you click run, if you don't have DeepSeek Coder, this will be downloaded. This is all you need to run an AI model on your local machine. Now we are ready to send questions to Ollama. To do that, let's add some more logging. And now let's get the solution from a method I'm going to call getSolution from the question, and we'll pass the question as a variable. To do that, I'm going to create a new helper file called AI Ollama. We're going to be basically sending requests to Ollama. So Ollama is running on our local machine on this port. We're going to be sending the content as JSON. And then we're simply going to send a request to this endpoint. So I'm going to spare you the boring part. But basically, we're going to be having a prompt. We're going to ask it to solve the question in Python, and then we'll pass the question itself. In the payload, we need to define the model that is running on Ollama, the prompt, which is this string up here, and then whether you want it streamed or not streamed. You should put false here, because if you do stream, you're going to be getting back loads of tokens. We want the question all at once it's ready. So this is our request payload and prompt. We are gonna send it using requests, and we're going to make a post request to Ollama. If the response is okay, we are going to return the JSON and we'll extract the response. Otherwise, we just return a failure. Quite simple. We can go back to our main file, and over here we're going to import this method from the new file we created. And we can also print the solution on the terminal. We want this solution to be shown on an overlay. Let's go and create this overlay. Let's create a new method called showOverlayText, and we'll pass the solution we want to see on the overlay. I'm going to create again another file, so this is going to be easier to read. I'll call it overlay UI. I'm going to paste the code here because there are a lot of attributes, and I think it just makes it easier to see it this way. But basically we're going to be using TK, which is the library we imported in the requirements. We're going to pass the text, and we're going to be creating a new overlay window. You can give it a title, and then you can define a bunch of attributes. So for example, the transparency, the background color, how big you want it, and where you want it to be. In this window, we're actually going to add a text widget, which is the one that is actually going to be containing the text itself. You can define how big you want it, the font, other bunch of properties. This is going to be disabled. You cannot insert text, but it's going to be read-only mode. And we're going to be having this close button at the end. You can go and explore. There are many other attributes that you can add. You can modify these attributes depending on your needs. I'm gonna try to show you how to make this basic version. So we have created the overlay. Let's go back to the main method and let's import this. So now let's go back to our diagram. As you can see, we have put the answer on an overlay. Now it's time to start the loop. But as I said, you don't want it to start straight away, because otherwise this overlay is just gonna disappear and it's gonna be confusing. We want some time before this loop happens. Let's go here. Let's add another weight. And for this other weight, we're going to create another variable up here. I'll call it interval seconds. So maybe for testing purposes, I'm going to put 10 seconds. And these 10 seconds will start from when you click close on the overlay. Every 10 seconds this loop will start. Let's do an initial test and let's see what happens. So I'm going to run this, and I've already got a Leetcode question open in a different page, and let's see what happens. So let's start this. Let's go to our Leetcode question. We'll have to move between these two screens. It has taken a screenshot, which is this one, of the Leetcode question. So as you can see, it has given us an explanation on this overlay, and then you can keep working on the Leetcode in the background. And this is always going to stay at the top because we have defined that in an attribute. If you want a refresh solution, or if you are moved to another question, you can just click on this close button, and what is going to happen is the 10-second wait for the next scan has started. This is going to take another screenshot and is going to show you a new solution on the overlay. Here you go, we have a new code. This is working so far, it's doing what you expected. But if you go to the screenshot, as you saw now, this has taken the screenshot of the whole screen again, and it has also taken the screenshot of this overlay. Let's close this. So what we want to do is take screenshot of just this part of the screen, of the text, where this code is being asked. So we need to identify what is this area, and then we need to use this area and take a screenshot of just this portion. So let's stop this and let's go back to our main method. So in here I'm going to be adding a flag. I'll call this flag find position, and we're going to be setting it to true. By the way, this is the part of the diagram we are working on. So we're finding the relevant area, and then we'll send this relevant area to the screenshot library so that we can only focus on a specific part. We are going to have a if method here. If find position is true, we want to find the coordinates of the Leetcode window. I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a new method, find Leetcode window coordinates. So there is something wrong. Okay, so let's create this find Leetcode coordinates method, and I'll create it here in the screenshot method because they're related. And this is what we need. So we need to import time. We're going to be waiting 3 seconds. Once 3 seconds have passed, wherever our mouse is, it's going to take the position of our mouse, which is going to be the top left corner. It will wait another 3 seconds. We'll need to move the mouse at the bottom right. It will record the position of that place. And then it's going to give us back a region. So this region is basically the top left corner position and the width and the height of the screenshot that has been calculated using the second position. And this will give us the region that we want to capture. By the way, we just want to run this once. Then we go back to our main method. Over here, we're going to save this in a region variable. And also we want to import the new methods, which is called find Leetcode window coordinates. We have a region. Now we want to use this region to take the screenshot. So we need to modify this method here, the take screenshot one. We're gonna pass a region. Let's go in here, and we want to add support for this region. So by default we'll put none, but if the region is available, we want to do something different. If region, we're gonna use the region as a method variable for the screenshot. Otherwise, we'll just use whatever we had before, and we're gonna capture the whole screen. And then the rest stays the same. Let's run this and make sure that this find position is true. So you want to avoid this doing all the times. So what I'm actually going to do is, let's remove this from here. We're going to have a region, a variable up here, but first we need to find this region, and we're going to be printing it using this print. I will run this. Let's remove this from here just for now. So I'm going to run this, and let's find the region that we want to capture. So it's gonna start after 3 seconds, so let's do that. So I'll run this. So it's saying top left, and now let's go to the bottom. And we've got our region now. So if you scroll up here, This looks correct now because we have height and width as well. So let's take that, let's paste it here in a global variable called region. We can deactivate the find position method. We don't need to do that. And now let's use this region as attribute to the take screenshot method. So hopefully if we run this again, so it's gonna wait 5 seconds. Let's go here. It should just take the screenshot of this area where the actual question is. As you can see, we have the overlay. Looks good. It has comments. So in theory, you could just copy this and try to run it. What you see here on the right, it's actually a solution that was generated in a previous run of this code. It passes all the tests. So as you can see, we have some code, and now what you can do is, whilst you're trying to solve this, you can just look here on the overlay and put your actual code here by taking inspiration from the left. So when you click close, 10-second timer is gonna start and it's gonna take another screenshot. So what you could do is just move this overlay to the right, click this close button and wait for another screenshot to be taken. Or simply, you can just modify where this overlay is shown. Maybe you can have it here at the top right or just like a bar at the top. This is up to you. You simply have to go to the overlay.ui and play with these attributes. Do what works for you. Let's just check that the screenshot was correct. As you can see, it has just taken the area of the text. We can see from the log that this has been converted correctly and the solution is being returned by DeepSeek Coder, and you can use this to solve your LeetCode questions. So we have now built a simple program that is able to show us overlays for LeetCode questions. This is not perfect by any means. So this was just to show you how you can create something like this very easily and quite quickly. The next steps here are to make this more efficient. You can actually change this overlay size and have it somewhere else, maybe a long bar at the top. You can also add more things to the loop. What I mean by that is we have this while loop. You could have some conditions. So for example, the first screenshot is going to be of the question, and then the subsequent screenshots could be of your solution. So whilst you're writing your solution, you can have this running in the background. It's going to be constantly taking screenshots of your code and telling you if that's correct, what you need to improve, and etc. This can become very powerful. As I said, someone used something similar to get offers from really big companies and it worked for them. The other thing you can do is making this overlay non-detectable to screen recording software. I don't endorse that, but don't get caught, because getting an interview is already difficult, and if you get caught, it's not gonna be looking good. Just use this software in ethical ways. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it allows me to create more videos like this for you, all completely free.